Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark here for Leadership Conversations. This is the show where we talk about leadership according to the world that matters to you. And I want to talk quickly with you about moving past the past. We all have a past. We all have a history, and some of us are not proud of our past. Some of us have a past that we just wish we could erase. And certainly in our careers and our leadership, we know what it's like to have a past that doesn't look too good. And that past can seem to haunt us and harm us in so many ways. And for some of you, you feel that and you fear that your past will, in fact, hold you back from getting new opportunities. Perhaps that's true in theory, but we all have a past, and we all have to figure out at some point how to move past the past so that we can move forward in our present. And that is true for everybody. This is not limited to just folks who are senior leaders, but this is true for emerging leaders. This is true for line staff. This is true for stakeholders and investors and people who are just genuinely interested in progress and prosperity. There are a couple of thoughts I thought I would share with you around how to move past your past, particularly if you are looking to advance in your leadership and you're trying to set the tone for emergent growth as a leader, as a manager, as a supervisor. Number one, I just want to share with you that you are not the summation of your past. I know your past happened. I know that it happened to you. And in some cases, you contributed to what happened to you. But the failures, the mistakes, the frustrations, the losing that you may have been a part of in your past does not define you. In fact, everything that happens in the past that feels hurtful and harmful and feels like, man, I just can't get a break, actually helps define you as a person who has grown from what they've been through and grown into the person that they are becoming or are today. If it wasn't for mistakes, if it wasn't for failures, if it wasn't for mishaps, if it wasn't for missteps, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be thankful. I wouldn't be appreciative. I wouldn't be aware or vigilant or sober-minded about the steps I do take. I would be a mess. And I think that to believe that perfection is the definition of what it means to be successful is an extremely false and dangerous narrative for the growth of your leadership. You need mistakes. You need failures. You need frustration. You need disappointments. You need to be lied to. You need to let people down. You need to make those critical mistakes that can harm a project. Not because you want to and not because you want to be intentional, but because when those things do happen, and they will happen in your career, they help mature you into the person that you envision yourself becoming. The funny thing about becoming someone or something that you envision, or becoming the reality of what you've dreamed about, is that we have no idea, we have no concept as to how we will become that person. That is probably one of the funniest jokes we can actually play on ourselves, to play out, to organize, to structure how we're going to become the person we envision. Now, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. And what we say in the Christian faith is, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Quite frankly, I'm a living witness of telling God my plans, and he has laughed at me every single time. I've told God the pathway. I told God the steps I'm going to take. I told God how it's going to happen, how it's going to unfold, and he has laughed at every single moment that I made those plans. And what I've learned from those moments that God laughed was that his way was way better. And I'm encouraging you, friend, that as you are developing your leadership and as you're fighting through tough times, difficult times, frustrating times, you feel ostracized, you feel ignored, you feel left behind, you feel overlooked, you feel like you are being castigated or you're being pushed to the side because of a mistake you've made, fight through it. Live through it. You will survive. You will make it to the other side. Okay, I understand it's frustrating. I totally get it. Been there, done that. still going through it at times. But those hard times are necessary, but they do not define you. They train you. They develop you. They make you smarter, but they do not define you. You are not the summation of your past. In fact, you are the lessons learned of your past. Number 2, do not allow your past to constrain your leadership in the present or the future. The mistakes you've made should not be handcuffs that limit your ability to influence, impact, direct teams, organizations. Everything you've been through that we just talked about are lessons learned to remind you how to influence the people under your leadership. Because when you think back what you've been through, when you think back the mistakes you've made, it gives you a sense of compassion and empathy when your team ends up making some of the same mistakes. In fact, as a leader, you see some of these same mistakes coming a mile away. You know what's about to happen the moment Johnny steps in that direction, and he steps in that direction, even though you told him not to. You know what happens. You know what's getting ready to happen. You know what's going to be the outfall or the outcome. You know what's going to follow after all of this. And Johnny is happy-go-lucky, and he's saying, "I got it. Trust me, boss." And you're like, okay. But when Johnny makes the mistake, when Johnny makes the misstep, because of what you've been through, you know how to care for Johnny. You know how to protect him. You know how to bring him back, restore his confidence, help him understand mistakes happen and they will happen over and over again. But you wouldn't have had that empathy or compassion if you didn't go through what you went through, which is why you cannot allow your past to constrain you. Your past is a blessing. It's an illuminating concept. It is an illuminating emotion. It is an illuminating mentality. Your past is an illuminating feeling that allows you to illuminate the path forward and restoratively for your staff. And if it wasn't for your past, how could you encourage them? How could you cast light on vision? How could you illuminate the path that you're traveling on? How could you? How could you offer concepts that are creative and innovative if it wasn't for your past? This is why you can't allow it to constrain you. Do not let your past define you. Don't let your past constrain you. And third and last, be the best self and pursue your goals at all cost. I'm telling you this because there are people watching you, and there are people wondering how they can move forward past what they've been through. They're wondering, how do I make it beyond this moment? And they're looking for an example of someone who has or is doing it actively. As a leader on your team and your organization, you are 9 times out of 10 the most readily accessible example people have to evaluate how to move forward. And you, my friend, as a leader, must not allow your past to define you. You must not allow your past to constrain you. And to top it all off, you have to pursue your goals as if there is nothing that can hold you back. I'm going to go for broke pursuing my goals, and I'm not going to let anybody hold me back. I'm not going to let anybody limit me because of my past. I'm not going to let anybody harm me because of what I've been through. What I've been through makes me exactly who I am today, and you're not going to stop me. Your team needs that example, friends. They need to move past their past, no matter what it is. And why not do it looking at you? Hope this was helpful. This is Dr. William Clark for Leadership Conversations. We'll see each other during the next show. Peace.